All right, this is Rudy. It's February the 21st, the year 2017. This will be one of the more difficult letters that I read from Schaeffer from CMU prison. I have received a couple of similar letters. They were not identical, but they were similar in their content. And I wrote Schaeffer a letter back, and I said, in order for me to publish the contents of these letters, I need explicit instructions from you that you want this content of these letters to be made public. I received that today on February the 21st. So it is my policy not to censor a man who has been sentenced to 26 years in prison. I should also state that I don't consider myself a spokesperson for Schaeffer. Schaeffer speaks for himself. I am also not a spokesperson for Maria or Richard, who are also mentioned in these letters. As a matter of fact, I feel it necessary to say that I have dealt with Maria numerous times, and in all of my personal dealings with Maria, I don't feel that she has ever treated me in a way with dishonesty. I don't feel she has ever lacked any sort of integrity. But obviously, as you hear this letter, Schaeffer will say his piece, and I don't even think that this is identical to the first two letters that I received. This appears to be another version. So I will read this version. It is labeled at the top, open letter to the public. I need to also mention the topic of doxing. I covered up a bit at the end. I do not publish people's home addresses, and I do not publish people's phone numbers without their approval. I will publish an email address, so you will have that, but I have been doxxed myself, and I know the ramifications of being doxxed, and so I don't dox others. You can look that up, DOXX. All right, I'm going to not give any more commentary at this point. I'm simply going to read Schaeffer's letter. It's a 4-page letter, I believe. And again, it's not my policy to censor a man who's been sentenced 26 years in prison, and I believe he's completely innocent of all the charges. So here we go. This is Schaeffer's letter. This is me. I covered up my home address so I don't dox myself. This is Schaeffer's writing from the Marion CMU prison where he's currently incarcerated. This is the first page. It's titled at the top, Francis Schaeffer Cox, 16179-006, U.S. Penitentiary, CMU, P.O. Box 1000, Marion, Illinois, 62959, February the 15th, 2017. Dear friends, family, and supporters, open public letter. Richard Neff and Maria Rensel have lost my trust. They have not tried to win it back, and have in fact started doing things to actively hurt me. This not only betrays me, it betrays all of you who have donated time, effort, and money to help me get justice. That's why I had to bring all of this out in the open. It concerns you as much as it does me. There were several things I explicitly told Maria not to do, but she turned right around and did them anyway. They ended up being very costly mistakes, just like I told her they would. And I'm the one who bore the cost, not her. I can't afford to have someone like that on my team. Similarly, with Richard, he will not listen and has bumbled into one high-priced mistake after another at my expense. He has also been calling my family and saying horribly mean and abusive things, accusing them of not helping. My family is helping plenty. They just won't deal with Richard because he's an out-of-control bully. Richard told me my own family doesn't care about me, and that I have no one. That isn't true, but even if it was, who says something like that? Page 2. There are a lot of very positive things I need to be working on right now. To do that, I need to move on from Richard and Maria and the problems they are causing. I told them that I didn't want them involved and to please turn everything over to Angela Clemens. In response to this, Richard and Maria shut down my website, took off with the donated money, and took steps to block me from future fundraising. The Schaeffer Cox website isn't theirs to shut down, and doing a thing like that betrays me and the people who donated their time and talent to put it up before Richard and Maria came on the scene. I wrote most of its content, and we need that central hub up and accessible for all of us. The donated money was not raised by or for Richard and Maria. They tried to get people to donate to them so they could help me, but they flopped. The only time people would donate is when I sent out letters asking people to donate to me and I could help myself. Donate to me so I could help myself. Richard and Maria holding the money hostage injures me and every single donor. All of you out there have standing to confront Richard and Maria on this. If Angela Clemens is who I trust, to hold the funds, that's the end of it. Nobody has a right to interfere with my decision. Page 3. The biggest damage we're suffering at the hands of Richard and Maria has to do with the fundraising letters. The company that does all the bulk mailings and printing for us has a contract with Francis Schaeffer Cox, which was signed by Richard and Maria. The fact of the matter is that Richard and Maria signed that contract as my representatives, only after I authorized them to do so. But now they are trying to tell the bulk mail fundraising place to shut it all down and stop fundraising for me, because Richard and Maria say so. They are also telling the mailing place to not let me have the Francis Schaeffer Cox mailing list with the names of all the people who have donated to me. This has thrown everything into confusion. The fundraising has been stopped for months now. Donors are sending me letters worried if I'm okay and asking why they stopped getting letters from me. Other donors are sending me angry letters asking where their money went and how people that I don't approve of got control of it. This has put me in a real bad spot. How do I explain Richard and Maria's behavior to a businessman who donated $25,000 to me, or to a little old lady who sends me $16 every month? Page 4. Richard and Maria's actions are not the actions of people trying to help. I don't know what's making them do this stuff. But when I took action to remove them, the analyst at the counter-terrorism unit stepped in and told me I had to leave Richard and Maria in place. They then added 27 days to my sentence and cut off my communication for trying to replace Richard and Maria. I'm appealing this because the government has no valid reason to weigh in on who I choose to trust to help me fight my case. In the meantime, it's up to all of you out there to put so much public pressure on Richard and Maria that they do the right thing. Richard and Maria need to turn over the website and the money to Angela Clemens, and they need to tell the bulk mailing fundraising place that all rights and interest related to Francis Schaeffer Cox, the mailing list, and everything else are mine, and to work with Angela Clemens from here on out. Anything less from Richard and Maria is intended to hurt me. Please stop them so we can move on. Schaeffer. And then I covered up their phone number, but I did leave their email address. Richard Neff is r.neff, N-E-F-F, @gci.net. Maria Rensel is rensel@reagan.com. Okay, that's Schaeffer's letters today. And as I stated, I do not censor a man who's sentenced to 26 years in prison, so that is his words.